In this video, I'm going to share with you my own experience as to how this twin flame journey is helping to not only heal and clear the karma within ourselves and relationships, but how that's cleansing the genetics of our family bloodline, and that the reason we're doing it is because we're rebirthing a new planet. Hello, fellow flames. In case we haven't met, my name is Dr. Harmony, and I hope you live fearless, live loved, and live free. In this video, I'm going to share with you, based on my own experiences, what it means to be clearing and cleansing the karmic patterns of the bloodline and how your twin flame ascension journey reflects that clearing of that bloodline. Before we get started, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when all of my videos go live. And in this channel, I'm here to help you learn how to live fearless, live loved, and live free. And that's part of what's happening in this concept of the bloodline clearing. It's helping us to become free. That is technically helping us to rebirth the planet, really. When you think of the bloodline and the descendant concept, what, on a deeper level, why are we doing this? Is because the genetics that are involved, and the genetics linked to the DNA of the DNA we carry in our body and in our soul template. So we are recoding this DNA. We are reprogramming this DNA, and we're doing a karmic clearing of these genetics, so to speak. And if you think about it like as in the concept of that, you've heard that term, the black sheep of the family. That black sheep is technically here to break down the different karmic patterns, to help to reprogram different belief systems and recreate new templates that we came here to do as twin flames. And so as we ascend as a person, we are ascending as a planet. And as we know, the twin flame journey has come into our life in this time and era, both personally and collectively, to help us repattern and reprogram relationships so we can redefine them into having more loving relationships than what we saw in the past. So your twin flame will come into your life and force you to clear things that you haven't cleared with your parents, basically. And so you've heard me talk about this for months, but I'm telling you, this is picking up speed, and I'm experiencing even like where this is coming full circle for some completion of this karmic clearing. And I'll share with you my experience of what I'm going through, even again personally, like I did recently with the video I'll put up here. That is the twin flame journey begins at conception, where I talk about my journey with my son and our connection of how we've personally cleared some bloodline things and how that links to my dad. And today I'm going to share with you some things that's going on with my father and my updates on my journey with him that links to what I'm talking about here. So make sure to check out that video. And also know, as before I kind of go on, I just want to say that I do have the Reprogram Your Childhood Wounds online course that will help you cleanse and clear and identify, reprogram, and pattern your programs so that you can stop attracting people, partners in your twin flame, so they stop triggering these wounds that are coming up for healing, clearing, and reprogramming the DNA within you that's helping clear that genetics. So make sure that you check out all those resources below. But the key here is that your twin flame is technically a reflection of your greatest partnership in lifetime. And so you chose your parents really to also, as impactful as the twin flame is, sometimes more impactful, it's your major lesson that you chose to learn in this lifetime with your parents, and collectively to also do this genetic clearing that I mentioned. And this can go two ways, like I did with my son. So it can be not only you with your parents, but it could be with you with your children. If they're not awakened enough to do that clearing, you may want to do some clearing with your children as well. And I just want to say something that's coming in here, that as I'm working with a lot of clients to do this right now, that's coming through very, it's the common theme I'm seeing with not only myself, I said is, but also the clients. I am seeing actually grandparents and different soul partners that have been in our life that have passed on the other side, and they might have been part of carrying that karmic part in the past in this lineage we're clearing. And from the other side, they're coming back through to support and clear and bring balance to you. So they're helping you clear also now, but they're on the other side. So pay attention to that, because that has happened more than once in this process with clients I've been working with. So you want to dig deep into this beyond your parents is the point of what I'm saying. It can go back to your parents' parents and your parents' parents to be able to kind of take a really deep look at what was really passed down and what am I carrying out. And the, it could be multiple things, but one of the primary things, what is that? So one of the main things to think about when it comes to your family or your parents, so to speak, is to know that these are deep, deep soulmate connections, that you've spent multiple lifetimes with these people. Whereas your twin flame, you may not have spent as many lifetimes with your twin flame, but they're kind of coming through in the same position of you, of also needing to do their own karmic clearing and healing and cleansing that bloodline, so that they can also free their souls, so that you can be together as free individuals coming in power together. So in this past life clearing that's happening with your parents, we'll use in this incident or example, is that you chose them to enter as the human form, but you've spent potentially, as I said, multiple lifetimes with them. And so they've been in your soul group, your soul family, and a monad that you've spent these lifetimes with. And as you now ascend and transcend these limitations of this karmic genetic clearing that we're doing, then you're coming out of the monad, which means you're leaving those soul partners and that you'll never have another lifetime with them again. And to separate from that creates a lot of pain. And you can feel this sense of separation inside of you, and that karma, that your old patterns, and with your parents and family, and you can feel the separation that makes it super painful, even with your parents coming out of this. And we're basically moving from that monad into the star family, where we're transcending into our highest version of us and becoming back to the star origin from the soulmate origin, and connecting to that starlight or the ascended version of ourselves, the ascended master version of ourselves, as we embody that light into the coding of our DNA, and we support more light in our DNA as it is cleansing, clearing, correcting, and connecting and collecting your own soul's vibration as that's going up, and the vibration of light and the amount of light you carry. And literally this DNA is moving from two-stranded DNA scientifically is being proven that it's moving to 12-stranded DNA. And so in this clearing, in this genetic clearing, we're clearing some really deep things. We're clearing all the negative beliefs and behaviors that's been passed down, from generation to generation, through religious ordinances, through things that have been like sexual orientation, as far as like sexuality and preference of gender of sexual relationships. And we're letting go of sickness and all these hard, challenging, rough times. I know my family, a lot of the background came through a lot of poverty, and it came from the Great Depression. So at our era right now, if there's poverty involved, it not only maybe is from a past life, but from ourselves, but our basically lineage and our family genetics have been clearing that depressed state of being that we're purging out of, that collective energy for our genetics. And we no longer have to go through all these rough, challenging times. We no longer have to go through the abuse. We no longer have to go through relationship dysfunction, which is one of the things in this lifetime we're seeing is we're breaking down and redefining the relationship so we can let go of that dysfunction and create more of a harmonic loving relationship that is coming into a place of balance, of being able to experience like a partner that puts us in a place of peace and power, and that makes us feel secure and stable and connected to, and that we can count on that partner. And these are the things that we're going forward with the new type of relationship. So if you're feeling this sense of separation from, maybe you're feeling like the black sheep of the family, and you are out of the box and you do everything different, but at this point in this journey, if you're watching this, you most likely know that you're doing it to cleanse and clear the bloodline. But it's going to be important to know and identify what part of that you're choosing to clear at the heart of it, so you can finish that and be complete with your bloodline clearing, or even maybe your cultural condition that's connected to other cultures, that are linked to, let's use the sexuality, for instance, and prearranged marriages and those sorts of things, or even like the religion connection of, being bound, where, again, prearranged marriages are just sort of like common, and it's been done because it's been passed down to pass down. Well, going forward, we're breaking that apart, and, it's very hard to get out of that web of that monad I'm talking about, so you can become your real version of you. Learn your own truth by going through the layers of these things and being able to know what your personal truth is and your own belief systems are, so you can basically gain personal sovereignty and start to be able to make choices from a place of not feeling guilty and not having to conform to all these things and limitations that have been placed on us from centuries. So that is one reason why the new children coming in are already connected more to their higher self, and they're carrying more of the higher frequency, because we've done so much karmic clearing that the children coming in aren't carrying these ancestral wounds anymore, at least not as much. And that's why there's not as much karma to clearing as we go through the bandwidth of letting go of the karma, and different people being in different spectrums of how much karma they have to clear, because we've collectively done a lot of that. And now, we've had a history of like indigos that are coming in that still have some karma to clear, but are bringing in the light. And we're moving into a lot of the crystal children and the rainbow children that are already like the 5D representation of light coming in and bringing in the love that, they'll walk around with these crystal blue eyes and they're like, oh, I love you. That's another reason why, a lot of the twin flames are having children that aren't either twin flames also, that are also connected to their higher self, depending upon, where they are in this birthing process. But that is also what I was going to say, is why these rainbows and different crystal children are coming in, is to anchor in the light and support it. And so they're going to be able to step into twin flame relationships as they move forward just automatically. And that's why it's just meant to be that we raise that vibration of the planet. And it's happening individually and collectively, as I said. Now, I mentioned that, with my son, that began at conception with his birthing process. And I mentioned that video that I can't stress enough for you to watch if you did not follow that, because it's one of the most impactful videos and most deep information that I have submitted. But I want to mention this one, a little update with my dad, and how that links to my own bloodline clearing, and how I went through so much of this transcendence to the point where I literally changed my name to Harmony, that I didn't know technically I was going to do. It found me, and then I became Harmony, and I teach Harmony, and I represent Harmony for myself and the collective in the world, and bringing harmony to the world. And my legal name changed to Harmony in September. And kind of backtracking this, as this was coming to play, my birthday is at the end of July 27th of this last year. My father called me and to tell me happy birthday the night before, and due to our differences in belief systems, he proceeds to tell me that because I was trying to cheer him up because he carries a lot of mental illness and depression based on a lot of his health issues he's went through. And I was trying to cheer him up, and basically I made the comment that, you know, this is heaven or earth, and that I choose not to wait to, because he basically made the statement, when I get to heaven, I won't have to deal with this. And I kind of made the statement, well, you know, this is like, our happiness is now, and I choose to kind of bring my heaven to earth now and to live in that place now without waiting and separating myself from that. And so he chewed on that while I talked to my mom, and then he came back and basically told me I wasn't going to heaven, which meant I was going to hell in his eyes because I didn't believe what he believed. And so he got so upset with me, and he was already upset with me because of changing my name, and told me he would disown me by changing my name, which represented like the separation of letting go of the birth name and all these bloodline connections. And so he got really mad at me then and deleted me off of his phone and had not spoken to me until last week. He had called me and said that I put your number back in my phone. Well, you got to realize that was right after, if you guys that followed me with the video of my son, and I'd been doing all that karmic clearing and cleansing and said to you that my bloodline clearing was complete and it came full circle. Well, after I said that to you guys in the video, my dad had then basically contacting me saying, I've put you back in, you're back in the family kind of thing, right? And you're back in a good standing. So there was another confirmation for me, basically. This is how these things show up and show you, just like the twin flame journey, that what you do personally, all these things will attract and magnetize based on your work. I also want to say something about that, how that links to the twin flame. I saw 5 years ago how that I would always attract men in down to the twin flame of not having a voice or being able to be strong or to speak the truth, because my dad was so expressive and it was all dominating and forced on me that I shut up and got silent. So I attracted silent partners down to the twin flame being the greatest, highest version of not being able to speak his truth. So it was representing to me that, like, where I was being silent in myself and I needed to come out and speak who I am, more raw, real, and authentic. And by needing to come out, it was pulling us out of the closet with me being pulled out and him not wanting to be pulled out, which was creating that polarity that was creating the separation and the issue to begin with, about that connected to religion and fears of persecution and all these things and being judged and seen, just like my dad had done my whole life. And so he had that done, and also, you know, needing to clear the same thing on that with his own persecution, basically, and dimming his voice, silencing his voice and his own truth and speaking. But so my dad in that has them basically kind of moving forward when he said that he put me back into his, you know, phone. Then basically I, through kind of tracking this out over this week, I then got my birth certificate with my legal name being Harmony on my birth certificate on Saturday, this last Saturday, on the full moon, the new identity, and all of the things I said to you guys on that full moon, I was really living out. And it was showing me literally by this birth certificate coming in that my dad contacts me, then I get the birth certificate back. And again, there's about 100 other links to that, but I'm giving you the highlight of it, so bear with me because I'm trying to just bring it into form to share with you the main points here. So then basically kind of fast forwarding through the week, then my father, this would have been, let's see, I forget what day it is now. So Tuesday morning, super early in the morning at 5 something, I get a phone call from my brother, and they thought my dad was passing, and he had basically passed out and grabbed his chest and passed out. And if you follow me also for very long, you've heard me mention he doesn't want to live anymore. He's in that depressed state. He's been through a lot of mental illness clearing and things like that. And so based on that, I know he's clearing things from his mother, because their connection, how he acts and what he's clearing in some of the mental state is also connected to his mom. And also I talked about in the other video is, you know, there's a lot of connection with him being this, like his father came in, but being conceived out of wedlock and some other things. So our soul basically is trying to clear. On one end, we kind of have these things happen to us, and the other thing, we do it to somebody else to bring balance to our soul. And so we kind of do that with our partners and our parents and our twin. We also can cause and inflict these things for them to get their wounds triggered so they can heal. But on the flip side of that, not only are we maybe triggering them, we also, in reflection of that, are getting back the experience we need to bring wholeness and fullness to our own soul's karma, bringing balance to it. So it equals out the balance within each individual person so you can become whole and complete as you collect those parts of yourself and you heal them. And then that puts you in alignment with this higher state of self-respect and you know, you're teaching them how to show up for you and you can set a boundary kind of thing. But anyway, so my thing is I never really set boundaries with my dad, and this whole thing has been about setting more of a boundary and letting him see who I am, because he's never fully saw me. He's only selling me what he wants, and he doesn't feel like he's ever been seen. So he really makes me seen on one level, but he can only see me for what he thinks I should be or what he wants to see in me. In fact, he has thrown my book away when I gave it to him for when it first came out. I then later, a year later, found out he threw my book away that you guys read. And that, you might as well throw my soul away. You know, it felt like somebody kicked me in the gut. So anyway, he basically has this incident on Tuesday morning early. He ends up going into being taken via ambulance, and he's in basically a non-responsive state. And he goes to the hospital and they do evaluation. He has a seizure while he's in there, and he has a history of seizure because he has a history of brain tumors. And then they decide they're going to basically transport him out, ship him out, and send him to a place that's near me. Well, I don't know how many of you know my story, and you'll hear more of this eventually, of my connection with St. Clair and St. Francis, but they sent him to St. Clair Hospital. That's by me in a St. Francis building. And if you've been connected with me with my son's thing with St. Francis, even in that video, you're going to understand a little bit more of the depths of what that's bringing to me, and down to bringing the twin flame stuff full circle down to the chaplain's name being basically the same as the whole twin flame and the connection. So in that, though, what the point of me telling you this is, then my dad had this major seizure while he was in the emergency room before they transported him. And today I have this client that's in another country that presents to me having had a history of seizures, and basically so many things that she came to me for was paralleling my dad. And suddenly I could see the shift in what was going on with her as to being like coming full circle as to some things that she was facing and feeling, and the fears inside of her, and connected to these generational like connections, that I was able to track it back and understand the fears that my dad had been experiencing for his bloodline, and him being able to release that down to just before he passed out. My mom watched him. He grabs his stomach and said he didn't feel good because his stomach was bothering him. And he grabs his stomach and then passes completely out. And he didn't go into a seizure at that point, but he had, like I said, a history of it. She had today some stomach things and seizures. And so I felt guided after I had got off the session with her, and I'd already knew this, but I felt guided to look up in the Louise Hayes, the connection to seizures. And when I looked it up, it said that, you know, seizures are connected emotionally to running away from the family, running away from self, or running away from life. And I was like, wow, how symbolic is that, and how appropriate is that? Is we're separating from that family connection, and that just is more confirmation that, you know, my dad, even down to the seizures, is clearing this bloodline. And I can feel, based on just all of it, because honestly, I faced yesterday this, I'm doing this a little early because he's still in the hospital and he's near me, and I'm the only one that can go see him other than my daughter. and my mom can't come. So not only am I trying to get my normal weekend with all of this, I literally am processing all of this with my dad and dealing with doctors and different things and doing intakes and stuff that I'm doing with that. So yesterday, before he was transported, I basically had went to the DMV to get my driver's license updated with my new Harmony name, and had to take the birth certificate with it. So last night, after he had been transported to me, there was a legal document that they had to have me sign based on a mental health state of my father. And they asked me my name, and I tell them I'm Harmony. And then he tries to correct and give my other name. And then they look at me and say, well, this is legal, right? And I said, yeah. And then they look at him and say, we have to use the legal name. So I had to sign a document yesterday for my dad in my new legal name that basically was a representation of this mental illness condition he has had, as an affidavit stating that, like, certain things that I had to state, and then I had to provide my new driver's license. And so it's like this whole contract is being rewritten from the birth to the driver's license, to the name, the birth, the driver's license. It's just all showing we're creating like a new contract. But I also got to say, what I was going to say in that is, in this time frame, before we knew that he was coming out of that basically non-responsive state and not knowing if he'd had a stroke, and because he has a history of blood clotting with some stuff too, I didn't know if it was literally the last time I would ever, like, if he was going. Honestly, I had no clue, based on everything that was happening and the way things were looking and the way everybody was saying and the information I was getting. I felt this sense of he was passing. It was going that route. And I went through a process of this feeling of what that meant, that he was gone and it was it. And so it took me through several hours of really deep, everything I'm telling you, bringing it full circle from like the processes, how things were with him in July, and how what I had to do was realize that if he was to have passed and things were left the way that they were, I had to come to this place. I felt really free. I can't even explain it. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel bad that, oh my gosh, we never got to complete this conversation, that, he wasn't speaking to me and he really just came back and we never really got a chance, like I did with my son, to come back and really finish the things that I wanted to say to him. And I just had to know that, like, it was part of the journey, and it felt complete. It felt free. I felt free for him. Like, as sad as it could be that he had gone, I literally went through this feeling of this separation of him physically in this earth plane, but what that felt like to separate from all of this crap that we've all been carrying. And as painful as it is in a human sense to think about letting go of my dad, it felt like it felt good to be gone of all of the crap. And so we are doing some really deep clearing here. And as I sit here, he's still in the hospital. We still don't have answers. I am still kind of going to take and handle things, but I also know it's still going to unfold the way it should. And I always tell him anyway, you're too stubborn to pass. You're too stubborn to die, you just are. So I feel like that, if anything, at this point, the karma's done, the bloodline clearing's done, and I feel that the only things left is, if he's still here, is to be able to do like I did with my son and come forth and share with him in the physical reality certain aspects of healing what has happened in this. And I see it all as a gift, down to, I've been doing this bloodline clearing intentionally for over 5 years. And if you have been too, there's more to do, people. I know I'm telling you over and over and over about the free first module of my program, Reprogram Your Childhood Wounds. At this given state in time, this is something I cannot stress enough. You need to do. You need to do deeper. If you are still having the issue of everything with your twin flame and the pain on yourself and all of these things, I don't care how much childhood wounds you've done. I don't care how much work you've done with your parental aspects, there's more to do. There just is. And it feels endless, just like everything else. But it will bring you to where you need to be. And the key in this is to remember that this twin flame journey is taking you through this to clear within yourself, your twin flame, all your relationships, and then with the collective clearing that we're doing to give birth to the planet, to go forward so that we're not taking this karmic crap with us going forward. Okay, so make sure to like, comment, share the shine, and may you always face your fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Namaste.